We have a topic today, the point of life. Also, it would mean the purpose of life. People generally ask and are curious about their destiny. They want to know what their future will hold. So we wear these robes, and so we look a little mystical to some people. So they come and, can you tell me something about my future? So that's why, tarot cards, astrology, these things are so popular, because we're interested in knowing our destiny. And generally we are not, personally, I'm not really an astrologer or such, so we will do a simple thing. Okay, yeah, palmistry, give me your hand. People, they come forward, they put their hand. You kind of look at it and, yeah. Seems that you will get old. Yeah, you'll be sick here and there. And you will die. And people are shocked. What do you mean? So that's the summary of what will happen. The details vary according to different individuals. So this question of being disturbed when they hear about their own mortality is something common with most people. It is said as sure as death. We're saying that the heart is pumping for immortality. We want to love and live forever, together forever. Yet it also pumping towards our mortality, because the body will die. And that our destiny is bigger than our biology. But this is not really understood in society today. And talking of purpose, or people ask, what's the point of this life? We get purpose as far as materialistic civilization goes. It's standard in every country. Get an education. When I grew up, I never went to kindergarten. We were just playing around. We had an old orchard next to where my grandparents were. It's next to a Catholic mission school. And so it was an abundant orchard that was still giving different fruits throughout the year. So the whole day we're like in the forest and playing. These days, kindergarten is costing an arm and a leg. So there's a whole system to educate us. Why? To give us our purpose. You have to become an engineer. You become a doctor, you become a psychologist. So these are there and they play a role. Society requires doctors. Sometimes, as spiritualists, when we're feeling nice and intoxicated with the pleasures of spiritual life, we may speak down to such things. We talk about people who are building hospitals. They're wasting their lives just building hospitals. Until you're sick, you understand the value of hospital. So there's a purpose to our life in this world. We have our God-given talents and abilities. And those have to be engaged to highlight or to glorify the personality who was given such talents and abilities. But if we only look at purpose on the material side of things, then our purpose will divorce us when the body divorces us. So two things are at play. The makeup of a person is the material and the spiritual. It is something like if you're given a car, so this body is likened to a car. So one can learn to drive a car and can drive around to so many places. But it is necessary for you to have a destination where there's some productivity going on. Otherwise, you can do going around. Where you going? I don't know. We're just sort of cruising around, enjoying the scenes. So life can be like that. That we are in this human form of life, and we are going around here and there, just going with the flow. The Vedic literature, they expand our vision regarding our lives, that we are in a multi-life journey. This is just almost, you could say, one page of the book of our eternal existence. And so if we are simply absorbed in this one life, this one body, without thinking of the greater book of our lives, then we lose out on our deeper purpose. So the soul is who we are. The soul is the driver of this body. But this driver has to have some destination. So wisdom always tells that the soul is eternal. In Christianity, Jesus Christ says, "What will profit a man to gain the whole world and lose his immortal soul?" Bhagavad Gita speaks that the sober person, although they are going through childhood to youth, old age, they are not disturbed by the final change of death, because they understand that the death is simply for this body. So, what is the point of all this then? People may ask. So the point is naturally coming out of us, in that we are interested, one, in relationships. Naturally, we are born into a family and there's some relationships established. And then we go to school, we have some relationships with friends. And we get a little older, then the opposite sex starts to look a little different and more interesting, and those relationships can form. In the future, children come, and we find that we find joy in relationships. But the relationships that we have in this world are embedded with this temporariness. We have relationships with our homes, our cars. Who's on their second or third car? By show of hands. Mm-hmm. You can remember those cars and the feelings you got when you first had bought them. These days, I mean, who's on their first or second or fifth relationship with their cell phone? Do you remember how you lost your first one?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah, you tell us. What happened?
It was like, I was in the second grade of my school. In that time, I was living in Russia. And just my mother called me, like, we had a really cool dinner out. So you need to come home as fast as you can, because it gets cold. And when I finished talking with my mother, I was trying to get my books into the bag. And in that process, I left my phone on the table, on the desk. I ran away home and I lost it in my school. I left this phone on the table.
How did you feel when you discovered it was gone?
Like, it was not for something expensive. Like, oh yeah, now I knew this, my parents would buy me a new one. So I was a little happy about it. I didn't like the first one.
Anyone who's lost an iPhone?
Kayaking. My kayak flipped and my whole purse fell out. iPhone was at the bottom of the lake.
Were you working at that time?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you could get another one, no problem.
I was working, but I wasn't making a lot of money.
So that relationship ended, huh? Second grade, relationship with the phone. But you were looking forward to a new one. So the relationship aspect never gets severed. the soul is always interested in relationships, some banda. But we find that relationships with anything within this world is limited by the time factor. At some point, we have to separate. So, to pull that principle forward, then what is that relationship that we can have which cannot be destroyed by time? And another thing is, in this world, we look for ideals in persons. If you may think of the spouse, those who are married, that you always thought of you would have. You know, you have lists that people write also these days. They ask each other, what are you looking for in a partner? Some have scrolls, and some have learned to just kind of, just narrow it down a little. But we're looking for ideal qualities. Strong, caring, loving, got a good pocket, or is kind, compassionate. Any of them resonate? And, well, I mean, he has to be, or she has to be easy on the eye. Some people. Others, no, I'm not so superficial. I don't care about looks. Yeah? Some people are there who say that. Point is that we're looking for the ideal person. And in our relationships, we are generally feeling dissatisfied because mom and dad maybe aren't the best in the world. I hate you guys. Bang, the kid slams the door to his room. Friends, I trusted you. How could you go and tell that secret that I told you to that person? So many people sort of come short of our ideal expectation and desire. So the question would be, I still want ideal person. So where is that ideal person? Interesting enough, the Bhagavad Gita describes that supreme person by the name Krishna. And this name Krishna, in simple terms, means the all-attractive. The Sanskrit, when you break it up, Krish refers to Akashana, like that person who pulls, almost like, the tractor has traction. So the Na connotes to Ananda, bliss. So that person who is pulling everyone, attracting everyone to themselves, attracting everyone, everywhere, in every way, by his blissful presence. So this principle, some people will deny out of the gate. What do you mean Krishna is all attractive? So many people are not attracted to Krishna. And we are also kind of, sometimes on a good day, yeah, Krishna Jai Jai. Other times it's like, we do the duty. So others have never heard of him and they feel insulted. How can you accuse me of being attracted to Krishna? So we try to make people understand that Krishna, although is the supreme person, every energy we're dealing with is coming from him. And so whatever is attractive to us, if we draw a line back to the source of that phenomena, then you find Krishna. In the Gita, he summarizes very easily that everything in this world is made of earth, water, fire, air, and ether. That's the gross. And there's mind and there's intelligence. That's the software. And then he says there's another, like the user of the hardware and software. He's spiritual. but his mentality is trying to exploit the inferior material energy. So everything that we perceive is a combination of these elements: earth, water, fire, ether. Therefore, it's called the world of names. We just name it differently according to the proportions of these, which Krishna claims are his separated energies. So if there is anything that attracts us, the principle of attraction comes from the all-attractive person, and we are attracted to him. So part of the purpose of life is first to understand the purpose of life. First is to establish that there is a purpose. And as children, I remember we used to get these, here I think you call them geometry sets. It's got all these nice little tools for doing your geometry. And personally, I wasn't really such a maths person. I remember when I decided to do IT later on at the uni, I was already struggling with maths in high school. When I got to uni, I thought buzzword around that time was IT, so I went there. Only to discover there's engineering maths, an even thicker book. I just scraped through high school math. So anyway, even as a kid, math wasn't my thing. So we would empty that thing out, sometimes lose those sets, and we would put our marbles and play in primary school. But in there's this interesting one called the compass. It's got that 1 point bang on one side, tighten your pencil, and you can draw very nice circles. So you can pull it up and smaller and bigger. And as long as you keep drawing, you keep the point in one place, you can get many nice circles. Srila Prabhupada gave this similar understanding on a lake. Some boys are playing and they're throwing stones into the lake. They all keep throwing at the same place, and then they watch this show on the lake. Beautiful waves, concentric, flowing out to the edges of the lake. But then one boy thinks, nah, I want to make my own show. And they don't throw at the same place, they throw elsewhere. So they also get some circles formed there, but they clash with the others. So it's no longer beautiful, it's no longer symmetrical. So Krishna is like that point. When we focus on Krishna, then we get harmony. And so many people can have a relationship with Krishna and there's no disturbance. Because that idea of establishing ourselves as the center is removed. That's what causes difficulty. Bhagavatam, there's a book called Srimad Bhagavatam, talks about once there's 2 or more people in a room, then the potential for arguments starts. On your own, you can argue in your mind, but it's not such a heavy thing. So this material world is where we are, and we are all trying to establish ourselves as the center, and therefore conflicts. What our heart yearns for, the ideal person, the ideal relationship, a harmonious living, this is the spiritual world. And that's established by love. But this love is said is there within each and every one. It just needs to be awakened. So the purpose is to find out how to drive this car to the best destination, how to use the human form of life to get to the ideal world, to uncover the ideal relationship, the lost relationship. Our problem is a relationship problem, not just here, but always. So the processes of bhakti, which in itself, bhakti means love, devotion, are to train us, reorient us to face in the direction of the center, to cooperate with that center, to serve that center, to harmonize our desires with the desires of the Supreme. And when we do that, then we are being real. People always talking about, I like real people, people who are authentic. Be real, man. So right now we're all being fake, thinking we're this bag of bones and the color of our skin, our race, our gender, our bank balance. So many designations have been imposed on the eternal soul. So to be real is to identify again with our eternal identity and our eternal relationship with the eternal Lord. And so when we are exposed to literature, to persons and places that make this the focus of life, that is our good fortune. So these gatherings are part of that orientation, that we are helping one another to be real, to give up this fakeness. And it requires the strength of many to turn this misguided understanding that we've received through the indoctrination of being in this world via education, our friends, our family, our television. It's telling us it's all here. You can make it happen. So I'll just end with a little story you can consider. It will be a question to all of you, because New York is full of these subway trains out there. And personally, because everything is left, it's just opposite, basically, to our system. If you're from India, you understand what I mean. Drive on the different side. So also the trains, you get in, you think this one should go that way, but it's actually going the other way. So say you're on that A train, you're trying to go to JFK, there's a flight, but you didn't really look carefully, and you realize it's going to Manhattan. And then you decide, oh no, I should run towards JFK, because that's the direction. You start running in the train in the direction of the airport. Is that solving your problem? No, but I mean, I'm going in the direction of JFK. What is the problem? I mean, obvious. The train is not going in that direction. So the culture that we've been raised in is that we've accepted the materialistic idea of who we are and the goals and aspirations of embodied life. That's like a train that's going in one direction. When we get knowledge, spiritual knowledge in bhakti, we realize, oh, Sri Krishna, this is the wrong direction. And then we may start to, if we run in the train in the other direction, it doesn't really solve our problem. And this is what we must look out for, that we are not just simply running in the train, but we have to get off the train. So our practices can be like that we agree with this concept of a Krishna, a God, a spiritual world, eternal this, eternal that. But hey, we still very much are aspiring and are putting time and energy into the goals. Then instead of Krishna being the point of life, he becomes like the background. When I get time, when I'm in the mood, when my friend drags me, if Gurudev checks on me. So our practices become shallow. It's lip service. We profess a faith. It is Krishna consciousness, I say, is serious fun. It's very enjoyable, blissful, very nice, good fun, but it is serious because the objective is life or death. Ominous words. I'll end there. But I'm encouraged because I see that no matter where we go, the needs of everyone are almost the same, especially with love and relationships, that we all want the ideals. And Krishna consciousness, therefore, can resonate with anyone from any walk of life. Just before we started, our friend here, she said, I'm so glad to be back. Actually, japa is everything. If I don't chant my japa, then everything is just, you tell it, you'll tell it much better.
Everything becomes much harder.
Much
More
harder.
difficulties. And when you chant, it's the same exact thing, but it's like you're being carried, or you have wheels or something, and everything just, doors open, and you do the same thing happens, but it's just like so much better.
Your face says the point even more. You think of it. Yes, yes. It is like the fish is back in the water. When we are not in the vibration, spiritual vibration, we're in an unnatural environment. So the fish being yanked out of water, he's just struggling. Any arrangements that are made, they don't solve his problem. But if you throw him back in the water, So same thing when you miss out on your spiritual dose, you're feeling, I'm same person, I'm doing same things, but it just is harder. Much more difficult. So we'll open it up for any thoughts, any questions.